What is going on, everyone? It's your girl CPositivista. Welcome back to the Mind Your Thoughts podcast. Today I have got a special guest on the line, and I would let him to introduce himself.
Hi everyone, my name is Ahmed Mohammed, CEO, founder, You versus You Limited. It's a pleasure to be on this podcast, and I just wanted, all the people out there to hear about the amazing things that we've been doing, how we've been supported as well, and how we're now supporting other our community basically and young people as well.
Well, welcome to the show. How long have you been running You versus You?
I've actually been running You versus You for about 2 years now. Started in 2017, 18 ish,
Yeah.
and I was literally before You versus You. I've always been that person in the community. I was working for Tottenham Hotspur Foundation as an employment advisor.
Mm-hmm.
So working with young people age 16 to 25
Yeah.
that are neat. I don't really like the word neat, which means not in education, employment, or any training. So my role is actually to support them, guide them to the right path, depending on what they want to achieve in life. And we do like employability program for 8 weeks, and the program is more targeted to individuals needs. If a young person says they're willing to go into apprenticeship, or their aim is to work in an office environment, so we come up with a realistic goal, because some of these industries need qualification, and if a young person doesn't have those qualifications, we encourage them to perhaps do a functional skills if they can't do their GCSEs. So we get them on that platform, they do their functional skills, which might lead them to go and do apprenticeship. So it all depends on what the young person wants. But for me as a young person, that's just the criteria of the project. But personally, as a young person, it's not just getting a job. My success of seeing a young person come onto my program is, you've came on after 8 weeks, you're now much more independent rather than depending on someone to actually create your CV or get you a job. That's a goal for me. That's a win for me. If you can come to me week 1, week 2, by the end of week 7, week 8, you're not ringing my phone every day. I will just ring you, and you will need to say to me, yes, I've gone on to apply for that job, or been to that interview, or done XYZ. I'm like, wow, you're actually taking responsibilities, for yourself. And that's what really matters to me. It's not just pushing someone into a job when they're not ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I do with Tottenham Hotspur. That's just one side of my job that I do, and I also work in the mayor's office at the GLA as a peer outreach worker.
Mm-hmm.
So we much work as a consultant, and we deliver projects as well to like crews, young people, different organizations, and within the GLA, if any department were to do something for London, more related to young people, they come to us and they consult us and get our feedback, and we just scrutinize, where necessary. If we know something wouldn't work, or we'll just be like, guys, we're sorry, but this wouldn't work for young people. Just scrap it. Yeah, we're very, we're very open and real with them. We don't look at them like, oh, these people are professionals, because we're professionals as well. They
Yeah.
employ us to do this job, so we're real. If it's not gonna work, we tell them straight away, like, no, this is which young person is gonna take this serious. Then they change that. Then we sometimes take their work to like different organizations that work with young people, and we present what the aim of the GLA is. Then we go back to the mayor's office and say, okay, this is the research we've done, and this is what young people want. So in a nutshell, we kind of represent all young Londoners.
Mm.
So there's about 30 of us in a group who actually do this job. So it's more of you do the job when you can. It's not a full time job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then so in between all this, walks of life that I'm doing, community work, even outside my community, I realized there's always something missing, especially someone like myself that came to this country at the age of 14, as an unaccompanied asylum seeker. It was crazy. I mean, it's really crazy. Today, when people see me, they're like, what? Did you actually come here at 14? Were you born here? I was like, no. Perhaps you can still hear some of my accents as well. I was like, I wasn't born here. I came here when I was 14, and people actually find it very difficult to believe. And I
Yeah,
always
there's
ask
people
myself
who
why.
live here and they're just
Yeah,
sitting down on the sofas.
yeah, yeah. They're like, no, you look like someone that have been here, went to, did well in school, went to university. Now you've got your stuff together, doing your business, you're working, you're young, you're not on the streets. I was like, no, no, it wasn't like that. I've seen hard life. Been, I've been in a situation where I felt like giving up. When people see you, you're so successful, you know, in what you're doing, and they just thought you've never had failures in your life. Everything has gone the way you wanted it to be.
Like your life
But
is
it was,
perfect.
yeah, your life is perfect. I remember, when there's a young boy that came to me, and he just came out of jail, and he was referred to my service, and he's a caregiver actually. So when he came up to me, he's so unhappy, upset, and we had a meeting. His social worker called me. I was like, yeah, he can come and see me. So we sat down, and this boy wasn't happy. He was just upset. He doesn't want to talk. And I say to him, young man, what's going on? So the moment you start speaking the same, lingo with them, I'm young. They're like, okay, all right, cool. Let's let's rock, let's talk. Then he was like, yeah, I just came out of jail. There's nothing really much for me. I know he's got his GCSEs, by the way, and he's like, there's nothing really much for him. He has a bad record. He's a caregiver. Everything around him is just negativity. I was like, what do you mean there's nothing left for you? He goes, oh, I've been to that organization. I'm not happy with what they're saying. It's like everyone is just passing me here and there. And when he was actually telling me all what he's going through, how he thinks he's kind of like given up and there's nothing left.
Did you feel like you could relate?
Yeah, and I just felt like I can actually relate to him. And at that moment, I was just smiling. And he goes to me. then this guy,
you were seeing the young you.
Yeah, I was seeing and bear in mind this was like 2 years ago, and then I was only like a year or 2 years older than this boy.
Wow.
And I say to him, if I say to you I'm only a year or two older than you, would you believe? He goes no. Then he was like, well, you look young, but at the same time, no, like I came to you to help me, so how can you be a year or two older than me? You're professional in what you're doing. And he was like, you're even smiling as well, like you don't even know about the road, you don't even know about hard life. And yeah, so I was like, what, are you serious? He's like, yeah. And I say to him, if I told you that I came to this country at 14 without parents, and I was homeless at 14 in a cold night, would you believe? Then his face just quickly changed.
Yeah.
Then he was like, wait, like, what? Then he goes, you look like someone that have been to university. You've got everything, in control. You're doing well. And I was like, no, I'm just a caregiver like you. So when I said I'm just a caregiver like you, that just broke the ice. He was now very relaxed and wanted to talk.
Yeah.
And he was surprised for me to say I'm a caregiver. Yeah, he can relate. And I said to him, I didn't even go to university. I've done the basic. Like I went to school, I went to college, I had my basic qualification, but I don't feel like I need to go to university to get to where I need to be. It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
And and he was like, so how did you get to where we are now? And I said to him, look, I came here at 14, no mom, no dad. I was homeless for like 2 weeks, sleeping rough, until I went into care at that age. And he was really shocked because and the reason I'm saying this was because so many young people that have been through the system have been projected to not do well, to either end up in jail, to either be on the street or living a hard life.
100%.
Yeah, but from this young man that came to me on that day, hearing just my story just briefly, he was able to be like, you know what? I think I've come to the right place, and there's no more anger. I say to him, I'm not your enemy. I'm here to help you. And by the end of the 8 weeks of our program, he said he wanted to, do construction. We get him to do his CSCS card for like a week. He did that. Then we put him into construction industry where he was working. So these are the
Amazing.
kind of things that I use my personal story to inspire other young people as well.
Yeah.
So along that journey, I realized there's actually something missing from, from working from this organization, working with young people. It's more of like hitting a target, taking boxes. I have young people that will come down to me, and my company will be like, we can't really do much because they have no papers, they're not residents of the country.
Mm.
And I was like, but I came through the same route.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
You
no
know,
excuse. There's no
yeah,
excuse.
there's no excuse. I'm an asylum seeker. I'm a refugee. I came here with nothing, and going through the home office, trying to become a resident. That alone is very traumatizing experience that you'll be waiting for years. You couldn't walk. There's nothing literally you could do. But I was fortunate actually to be placed in a very good foster with a very good foster family.
Yeah.
So my foster parents were Eritreans, Christian, and I'm from Nigeria, Muslim. I'm from the northern part of Nigeria,
Mm.
and English wasn't my first language. And today when I speak, people are like, "What? Do you speak another language apart from English?" I was like, "Yeah." Even I remember going to the home office at the first time. I had someone from a country that has to translate for me.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, because like coming here is just difficult, and I find it hard to understand what people are actually saying.
Mm.
So when I went into care, I was homeless. Then I went to the park, and I saw this guy is just playing football, and I saw a black guy, and I went, and in my head I was like, okay, maybe I might be able to speak to this black guy.
Maybe he will understand my lingo.
Yeah, maybe he will understand. And
Mm.
I went to this guy and I said to him, look, I have nowhere to go. I just want to play football. And he goes to me, oh, he needs to ask another guy who is a Turkish guy. And this is why I have so much respect for the Turkish people as well,
Mm.
because they played a very vital role in my
Yeah.
life.
Mm.
So he asked the guy, and they're like, "Oh, do you have a football boots?" I was like, "No, I'm only wearing these shoes. Can I just play?
These are my
I just
only
want to
shoes,
play."
bro.
Yeah. So my only shoes, I had nowhere, and they're like, "Okay, play." And I played. By the end of the football session, and the guy was like, "Oh wow, it seemed like you're actually good at football." I was like, "Good." But I'm trying to just forget some of my worries. I don't even know where I'm going. I was saying this in my head, and he goes,
Mm.
"Oh, can you just wait behind?" Waited, and the guy was like, so everyone left, and so it was him and his Turkish guy, and it was him. Back then, I didn't even know he was Turkish, so it was him and other two, I think three other colleagues of his.
Mhm.
And they're like, "Oh, you're good at football. Would you like to play for our team?" Blah blah blah. This guy was speaking fast. I didn't even know most of the. Oh
You were
my
talking
god!
slow
Yeah,
down, bro.
I was like, "Mate, can you please slow down?" And he was like, so the first question he asked me was, "Oh, what school do you go?" I was like,
Eh.
"Who?" I was like, "Nah, I'm
You
not
know,
in
and
school."
you
Yeah,
don't even have a school.
yeah.
You
I
don't
said,
even know what school uniform
I
looks
don't,
like.
I don't, I don't even know what school I don't even know what schools are around.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, I'm not in school." Then he goes, "What? What do you mean you're not in school?" Then he goes to me, "Oh, don't you know your parents will get in trouble?" I was like, "Mate, that doesn't exist where I came
That
from in
doesn't
Africa."
exist.
In mind, I'm like, "What? Your parents will get in trouble if you didn't go to school?" And he goes, "How old are you?" I'm like, "I'm 14." And he
Mm.
said, "You know in school?" I was like, "Yeah." Then he goes, "So where are you going now?" I said, "I had nowhere to go." Then he's
Mm.
like, "No." I said, "Yeah, I had nowhere to go." And I said, "I've only been in the country for like 2 weeks, and I've been sleeping rough, homeless."
Wow.
Then he was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." Then he goes, "No." So straight away they started speaking a different language,
Yeah.
not English. Then he called the rest of the guys. They started speaking. I was like, "What is going
What?
on?"
Why are they talking about me? Are
Yeah,
they about to
what are they?
take me
Yeah,
somewhere? What are they
I was like,
planning?
"What is going on?" I only came
Mm.
here just to play football and just find my way again to see how I could survive for the rest of the day or even the next day.
Wow.
And before you know, then he goes, "Don't you have any parents, mom, siblings?" I was like, "I had no one. I was brought to this country and I was abandoned at the airport. That's
Wow.
it.
Wow.
That was it." And as soon as I came out of the airport, the person that brought me here was gone. It was like, "Wait for me, I'm coming," and that was it. That's how
Gone.
it was
Mm.
gone. he was gone. I had nowhere to go. I was just moving from one place to another, and I end up, in this park. And he goes, "What's your name?" I said, "Ahmed." And he goes, "Are you Muslim?" I was like, "Yes." And he said to me, "You see, I can't even take you to my house because it's against the law." I was like, where I came from, I don't know no law like that. You're telling me, yeah,
No, what?
law, like all this stuff are strange for me. I don't even know about these things. So he's using languages that I've never come across. And he goes, then he said, "I can't even take you to the mosque because there's so many things." In my head, I'm like, I just need, to be safe.
Yeah, I just need somewhere to sleep.
Yeah. And he said, "Oh, he's gonna call a friend." And he spoke to his friend. I think later I found out the friend that he spoke to was a solicitor.
Okay.
And yeah, then his friend advised him to take me to a police station. So he goes, yeah. So he goes, "Oh, I spoke to my friend. I can't take you to my house, but we need to take you to a police station." Then he goes, "Have you eaten?" I said, "No." He said, "Are you hungry?" I said, "Yes, I am."
I'm
Then
very
he goes,
hungry.
"Very hungry. I haven't had good food for like 2 weeks. I've just been, eating from the street and here and there."
Wow.
And he goes, "Okay, let's go." So imagine I've been moving by myself, like not knowing where I need to go.
Yeah.
So now,
Were you not scared? Were you not scared that these people are gonna take you somewhere that you don't know, or were you just thinking, you know what, I don't have
listen.
anything to lose anyway?
So I was scared. One,
Yeah.
two. I was like, what can I even do? You're scared. One and two. You're like, what can you even do?
What can you
And
do?
I came from a country where kidnapping young children is a lot. And when I was moving by myself for like 2 weeks to now 3 people are like, "Oh, come in the car, we're taking you somewhere."
Yeah.
I was having so many different thoughts in my head, like, where are they taking me?
Yeah.
Where am I going? They're not even black, they're white. So I was like,
Yeah.
where are they taking me? But it was like, we're gonna take you somewhere so you can eat, then we'll take you to the police station.
Hey.
Then I was like, okay, but I was scared. Like, I'm telling you, I was so scared. Even now talking about it, I could still picture every journey like in my head right now. It was very, very, hard time for me. Then they took me to the police station. So we had food. Then they took me down to a police station, and the police were like, they asked me a question, and then they asked me if I knew the guys, from before. I was like, "No, I just met them today." And the police were like, "Okay, you guys cannot contact this boy. He doesn't know you." And all this time, I didn't even know what's going on. And this is where I was like, wow. I went through a journey where police assume that I know about the system that I don't even know. You can clearly see that I'm not an English speaking person. My English is very basic, like here and there. When you guys speak, it's so fast. And in Africa, if growing up in Africa, if you're talking to an adult, you can't really talk back. You don't even ask questions.
You can't talk what?
You can't talk back. Yeah, you can't even
look them in the eyes.
Yeah, you can't even look them in the eyes. So when these guys were talking to me, my head is always down. I'm just saying yes, no to things I understand or didn't understand. So at 14, I slept in the police station till the next day.
Wow, because you had nowhere else to go.
I had nowhere else to go. They asked me questions. How did you get here? I said, I'm from the northern side of Nigeria. I said, do you know Boko Haram? Have you heard about Boko Haram, Carla?
Yes, I've heard about Boko Haram.
Yeah, so that's where I came from. So that's my part. Then I said, someone brought me here and left me in the airport, and I was just going here and there for like 2 weeks. I had nowhere to go. Then they're like, okay, you're just writing that I don't even know what they're writing about. And the next day, I think later in the day, then another police came, and they were saying to me, "We will take you somewhere." They said, "We will take you to the social services." I remember the word because it's a word that I've never heard in my life, like social services. Where I came from, we don't know about social services.
Yeah.
Then they took me to this office. Is in Wood Green. They took me down to Wood Green. Then, so from there, they asked me questions. Then another 2 police again then took me to my foster home. So when they took me to this home and they said, "Oh, this will now be your home. You'll be living with this family." And I was like, okay. I was like, thank God I have a home now. But then what's all this? How is it going to be? Because I don't know about these things, and at the same time I've been so scared about living on the street, not knowing if I'm going to survive the next day, to now having a home. So when you have that moment where you're calm, you're happy, and then you're like, okay, what's going to happen? But then you have all that things at the back of your mind, that you're here, but you have family somewhere that you don't even know if they're okay or not.
Yeah.
So that's how I end up, in care. Then we have to go through the process of trying to get me a resident permit that I don't even know what's going on. I remember going to the home office. I just follow.
Yeah.
I just keep following. They just keep taking me to this place, that place. I didn't proper get like good explanation of what the process is. And it's like everyone just expected me at that age to know. They forget that I came from a completely different country with a different system.
Yeah.
But luckily, my foster mom, I think the second day in the house, she had three other kids that live in the house and two other foster children. So it's a big house. There's about 5 or 6 rooms in the house, and she started to say to me, "Oh, I'm a foster mom. I've been doing this for over 10 years or 15 years, and they usually bring me young people maybe from different country that came here, or they live here and they can't stay in their home. So she just look after them for a while before everything gets back to normal for them." I was like, okay, so she is the first person that explained, being a foster child. And even then, I didn't fully get it, but I kind of grasped what she was trying to say to me. And she was just being very nice and gentle with me. I don't know if it's because she's from Africa as well, or she's been through that journey when she came to the country. Because she's Eritrea. And
standing from experience.
So that's when I started to kind of like, feel a bit calm, relaxed, but I wasn't talking much. I wasn't really talking much. All I do is just eat food, go to my room. Then they started the home office process, and they tried to get me into school. And I remember just staying and waiting and waiting. Then few weeks later, I think about a month later, then the same person that took me to the police station that I met in the park, the Turkish guy, then they rang my foster mom saying, "Oh, I'm this person," because the social services were like, "I'm staying at home too much. Maybe I need to."
So that you can
they
go
called,
play
so I can go play football. So
so
they
nice.
somehow the police contacted them saying, okay, they need me to go and play football. So my foster mom had to drop me to football, then take me back just so I can be active. But there's so much just going on. I remember going to a therapy as well, because I don't know where my families are. Using the Red Cross service as well to trace my family.
Have you been able to trace your family?
Yeah, I have. After like 6 years, I was able to know where they are.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I came here in 2010 at 14, so almost 10 years in the country now.
Wow, big up to you.
Yeah, you. So I did survive it. So I started school in year 10.
Wow.
And so when I started school, I was fortunate that the boys that I play football with, some of them are already in year 11. So they were in the same school. So my first day in school, I was like, "Oh, Ali, oh." So they're more of like Turkish boys. And the year 10 boys were like, "Wait, this boy just came to school and he knew people already before he was new to the country." So I was lucky in that way to have those people that kind of helped me settle down in school. And it came to, okay, what subject would you like to do? I had to pick subject. Everything was new. Using the computer as well to do your work. I was like, I came from a place where it's blackboard and a chalk. That's what I'm used to. All this technology.
Wrong, you get whipped on your
hand. You get whipped. And my first lesson, this boy was so rude to this teacher. I was like, "Ahmed, are you on this planet or what's going on?" Like, there is no way. I'm telling you, Colin, there's no way you could get away with that where I came from. What you try to talk back to a teacher. And
Your
For a
teacher will
moment,
beat you, and
yeah,
then your parents will beat you
yeah,
when you
for a
get home.
moment, I actually thought I was watching a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and the teacher was like, "Yeah, you have to take your book." The boy was like, "No, I'm not gonna do." I'm like, "Oh my
Nah.
god,
The
what's going
disrespect.
on?" Yeah. So that's my first experience when I started school in my
Mm.
class. I'm like, nah, this is something else. But eventually, I started to like blend in. I remember doing my first PE in school,
Mm.
and the boys were like, "Oh, you can play football. Maybe play for the school team." Started to make friends, and it comes down to being, my school from my home to my school is like 5 minutes. I'm always on time, to school. Never been late. My
Yeah.
report is always like 100%. And the school were like, they didn't even know if I'll be able to even
Of
pass
course
all
you're
my
not going to be late.
GCSEs.
Back home, you
Yeah,
probably had to walk miles
yeah,
and miles to get to
I
school.
know,
Now
to
you
get
got
to
the bus
school.
and an Oyster
Now you've
card.
got it very
Come on,
quick,
bro.
very quick. I'm there. I'm in school. Then it comes down to GCSEs. They're not sure if I'm gonna pass all my GCSEs because they have, no knowledge about my educational background.
Mm.
Then my foster mom always, encouraged me to just try my best and do what I need to do. I remember having my first report, when they did like, the parents' evening, and our head of year were like, yeah, Ahmed is settling well in school, he's doing okay.
Oh.
But on my report, I had like D's, E's, because I've never done any exams, and I was saying to my foster mom, what does this mean? They're like, oh, it's grades. So the decent grades that you need to be aiming for is from like C and above, like to get C, B's, and A's.
Yeah.
But the school were like, they don't know how that's gonna work because you only started school in year 10 and you've missed like so much.
And not just that, the language barrier as
The
well.
language barrier as well. Sometimes in class when teachers are teaching, I just have to be quiet. Like if I didn't even,
Mm.
and it comes across like it just seems like, oh, this boy has
They
no
probably
more
thought you were a
confidence.
good girl,
Yeah,
but you just couldn't talk because of the
I just couldn't
language.
talk. Yeah, I just couldn't talk. I just couldn't ask questions. I just kept quiet. But eventually, my foster sister, she because I came from a home, my foster family home. Most of them were like graduates, so
Mm.
they always like push me to do well. Like you're African, man. You can't just come here and just not do well. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Just keep doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Like we're not expecting much from you. You only started school in year 10.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, you know what? I need to put in 110% to make sure I do well in school. And especially,
Mm.
when you're a young person. So when I started to understand the system about a young person in care,
Yeah.
and you start to realize there's been projected that children in care came from a troubled home, and I
Mhm.
realized most of my friends don't even know that there are people from different countries that come here due to like maybe different circumstances that made them to end up in this country.
Yeah.
They're also in care, but once you said you're someone in care, they just associate like, oh, you're having problems at home with your family, so that's why you're in care.
Yeah.
And
Or
I
you're
just couldn't.
misbehaving at home.
Yeah, yeah. I just couldn't say to people that I'm in care. I think if not up to now that I'm doing what I do in the community, when I was in school, there's probably only 3 or 4 people, like friends, that I know that I'm a young person. I'm a child in care.
Mhm.
Like I just couldn't share that with friends, and the way I conduct myself as well, people don't really associate that with me
Yeah.
because I just get on with myself. I do what I need to do. I play, then I go home.
Mhm.
So when I go to events where it's to do with like children in care, and I see other young people either from my school that are in care, they'll be like, Ahmed, what are you doing here? I was like, what do you mean, what am I doing here? I'm here for the same
I'm
purpose
here
as
for the
you.
same
They're like,
event,
what?
B.
Yeah. Like, are you here? I was like, yeah, I'm in care. They're like, oh, but you don't look like one. I was like, wait, how does a young person in care
In care
supposed to
look
look
like,
like?
yeah.
Like, do we have to behave in a
Is there a
certain way?
criteria?
Yeah, I know. Is there criteria to it? Then they're like, oh, you don't look like one, and that's the reasons why I don't even say to anyone that I'm in care.
Mm.
Then year 11 about to do GCSEs, so I picked my subject, and I remember revising very hard to make sure I just do my best and
Yeah.
had no regrets. But by the end of year 11, I had 10 GCSEs A to C. 10 GC, and the school were just so surprised that how did you do it? How did you manage to do it? And they interviewed me. They put it on their YouTube channel. So it's just that hard work as well to help people to do what they need to do,
Yeah.
and just having the right support as well. Because I have a very good social worker who really supported me
Yeah.
to make sure I do well. And I remember my social worker always says to me, whatever is meant to be would always be.
Mhm.
So I finished year 11. Then I had a scholarship to play for Dagenham and Redbridge football club. When I was in school, I got scouted by this football team.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, so I went to Barking and Dagenham College. I did BTEC level 3 sports science. So you see, up up to like all this time where I came here, nothing. Then it's like, okay, you've had something now. You're doing good. You went to school. You've kind of settled down in school, making friends. Things were going fine. Life was good.
Yeah.
All I'm more concerned about is where my family,
Yeah.
trying to trace them back, having more network around me, social workers, foster care support workers, youth workers, just giving me all this good support as well. And also the Turkish guy as well. They try their best to make sure if I need something, they're there for me. And this is why I love
Are you
I
still in
respect the
contact with
Turk.
them now?
Yeah, yeah, up to today, up to tomorrow.
Amazing. Yo,
Yeah, I'm
that's
still in contact with
amazing.
them. I'm still in contact with them.
Mm.
So everything was now good, and I was happy. And when I started college, so I go to college once a week.
Mhm.
Then I go to football 4 days a week because it's a football program, and I'm on a scholarship, aiming to like go into professional football if it all goes well.
Yeah.
And 3 months into my football scholarship, I had to stop the scholarship because when I came here, the Home Office granted me discretionary leave to remain, which is 2.5 years
Yeah.
to the age of 17 plus.
Did it expire?
Plus yeah. So that runs out.
Yeah.
So when I did apply again, then the Home Office, oh my God, this is when life turned upside down for me again.
Oh.
So in 2012, so they granted me in 2010 to 2012. That's 2 years and a half. Then because they said just reapply and we will extend, what you have as long as you're not in any trouble, you haven't, you know, caused any trouble to yourself or been to jail, you've been a good citizen. We would continue to just grant you your stay.
Yeah.
And that was cool because I remember when they gave me the 2.5 years, my solicitor was like, no, we wanted you to get a refugee status. And we went to court, and the judge will say to the Home Office, have you guys actually done enough research about this boy, where he came from? And they said, oh, we couldn't travel to his hometown because it's very dangerous. So 2 weeks later, the Home Office sent me a letter saying, okay, just keep the 2.5 years that we've granted you, and hopefully once that's about to expire, just reapply and we'll renew it for you. So that was all I knew because I didn't even know about this system of what's the difference between discretionary leave to remain, what's the difference and a refugee status.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I just want to be safe and happy as a young, and just be like any other young person.
Mhm.
So in 2012, I reapplied, and just like a joke, like, yo, your reply is gonna come in a month or 8 weeks time, and get on with your college. I wasn't worried because I know I had a solicitor that's looking after that for me. I have a
Yeah.
social worker, and the local authority are paying for it. So I'm not the person paying for it. I'm happy with my foster parent. Everything is good. And from 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and the football club said, "Oh, Ahmed, this thing is taking long because they couldn't register me with the FA because the scholarship that I'm doing, we're getting paid as football players.
Yeah.
So every person in my football team is getting paid
But
apart from
you
me.
weren't getting paid.
And
Oh.
yeah, and we're doing the same job. We go to football by 9:30 in the morning. We're at football by 4. We finish football at 3 o'clock because it takes the whole day. I'm getting home for like 5 o'clock, and at the end of the month they get paid, and I won't get paid because I don't have a passport, and I couldn't get registered with the FA. So I was like, okay, this is actually taking longer than expected.
Mm.
And I started to get worried. And I remember the football manager and myself and my foster mom, we went down to my solicitor. My solicitor was saying, well, this boy had, he has national insurance number. He went to secondary school here. He can actually go and get a job. He's just waiting for his, home office document. And the club were like, well, it's different rules when it comes to a football club because he has no passport. So I had to stop my scholarship 3 months into it.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to stop college, stop my scholarship, and that's when things started to get serious. Trying to chase the home office, nothing was coming back, and my foster mom was like, you know what, you'll be fine. And you know how when you're 18,
Yeah.
now you become semi-independent.
Yep. Yep.
So 17 plus, then I turned 18. And I was waiting. There was a period of time where they were saying, if you're in education, you can still stay with your foster family till the age of 21. But before that legislation actually go through, they already found me my semi-independent accommodation, and I've moved.
Wow.
So now I'm by myself, going through fighting for my resident permit all alone, even though I still have the support network. But I was a kid that eats with family, with my foster family. Everything is, but now you have to do it for yourself. And I have to survive on 56, I think it's £56 a week. Yeah, I have to survive on that. And
pocket money.
What usually keeps me happy now that has stopped. I'm not doing my scholarship. And what the football club actually did was, I tried to apply for other colleges, and they're like, it's too late.
Wow.
It's gone past September, like you left it too late, because not everyone actually understands the situation. So the club then said, they spoke to Barking and Dagenham College saying, okay, you know what, can you just allow him to continue his studies even though he can't do the football side?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, cool, you can do that. So once a week, I travel from Tottenham to Dagenham just for college, and I'm in the same class with my teammates. So
Wow.
whenever they're talking about whenever they're talking about football, the teams they played on a Saturday, who scored, I was just quiet. I'm just like, oh my God, if you felt like you're missing out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the month, they're like, oh, we're going shopping, we've been paid. And you're just there like, I'm going home.
I'm going home with my 56
Yeah, I'm always quiet.
Yeah.
I don't really talk much. And they don't even know about my situation. That's how sad it was. That I'm with these boys every day, but they don't even know what I'm going through, because we don't really talk about it. Everyone just seems like everything is cool, and I'm not someone that really talks that much. I remember I'm Muslim as well. We have that perspective of God will help you. We don't like the mental health side of it. I don't really say much about it.
Yeah.
And it's not language that I used growing up. Then I waited and waited, and for like, I think 4 years. So from 2012, I couldn't work. So I finished the college. Now what? Started signing up at the job center. Every time the job center would be like, oh, get a job. I've been to interviews. I remember going for an interview. I did so well to work for Argos, yeah?
Yeah.
And so I went to Dalston, a branch in Argos, to do an interview. And the guy was like, oh, okay, we'll get back to you. And I think 2 days later, another branch in Tottenham called me saying, oh, we want you to come in. We heard you did so well in your interview, this and that. You scored about 8 out of 10. I was like, I didn't even know you guys were scoring someone for interviews. Yeah, like, yo, you done so well. And they're like, okay, you're starting on this day. Come and start. I'm like, cool. So I went there to start, and they were registering me on the system, on the payroll system. And the lady was like, oh, what's your passport number? I was like, what? I don't have one. They're like, oh, then they said, oh, I'm sorry, but you can't work. You can't start with that.
I feel like that's an issue on their side. They should have made sure that
all those stuff. Yeah, they didn't. And I guess they probably, because, okay, if this guy will go through an interview stage, he should have. Yeah. And back then, I had this paper from the Home Office that said, oh, I can still work because.
But you had a national insurance number.
I had a national insurance number, and there's a paper from the Home Office that said if your application is still on process, you still have every entitlement.
So
But not every company knows about that, and not every company will go that far to call the home office to just clarify that can this young
yeah,
person
they
work.
don't care.
Yeah,
They
they
don't
don't
care.
care. Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you're illegal in the country, they get fined for
Mhm.
employing someone that's not meant to work. So I was going through all that, and this I actually gave up. When I tell people that there's a point in my life that I gave up, I was like, yeah, I don't care. Whatever's meant to happen would happen. I've given up. I'm gonna go on the road. I'm just gonna make money somehow. I need to.
Yeah.
I have friends. That were shooting drugs, that were doing all this. What they shouldn't be doing.
Mm.
And I remember there's been moments where I'll be out there like, yeah, I'm ready to, to do the bad stuff. And something within me would just be like, no, man, Ahmed, this is not you.
That is
This is not
God.
you, Ahmed. Ahmed, this is not you. Just go and do your prayer, man. Just go to the mosque. And I
Mm.
was, I was very. This is where I always thank God. Like, God, thank you for putting me in the midst of good people,
Yeah.
because my social worker was good, my foster mom was good, my
Mhm.
foster brothers were good.
Yeah.
I have a support worker. I have a youth, support worker that was really. I have a mentor as well from Tottenham Hotspur, because when I was doing my work experience in school, my placement was Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Oh
And this
wow.
is, yeah, and
So
I
you
was
already
that
had
was, yeah.
connections
So
there.
yeah, so I already I had that connection, and they said to me, "Oh, during summer holiday, you can come back and volunteer for us." So I took that opportunity, not knowing that in future that would benefit me.
Amazing.
So I was just volunteering, and I just became someone that just volunteer here and there,
Mm.
helping other young children in care. Then we set up an organization called Aspire. So we're just the voice of children in care. So we advocate the voice of children in care to local authority. So
Mm.
all I'm doing is just volunteering, waiting for my papers to come. A year gone past,
Nothing.
still nothing. 2 years, still nothing. And to be honest, I gave up. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's so many times where I would just go on a train
Mm.
platform, I'll be like, just jump, man. Like, what's the point of living?
Wow.
There's no point. And I'm battling all of this stuff in my head.
Yeah.
Not everyone knows this, because people just see me to be that, oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine. You've done well in college. And I don't talk much about
Yeah.
my situation, or about my problem. And I still go to my foster moms and talk to them. So they always try to make sure I'm on the positive side, staying positive.
Yeah.
And once you're 18, you now have a PA, a
Yeah.
personal advisor.
Mhm.
And I was lucky again to have a very good PA, Richard Brown, and always there for me,
Big up
supporting
Richard
me.
Brown wherever you are. If you can hear this,
Yeah,
big up to
Richard
you.
Brown. Yeah. So Richard Brown was really good. They're always like, "What are you doing now?" Trying to find me different things to just keep me going.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, you're out during the day, then you go back home, and you're just by yourself, couldn't sleep. You're just thinking in your head, what am I gonna do? What's the purpose of living?
Yeah.
Where's my mom? Where are my siblings?
Yeah.
I'm all here. I remember going to the Red Cross, and they say to me, "Oh, we might find your parents, but they might be dead." That put me off.
Oh, that'll put me
Like, that's,
off.
yeah, that
I
put me
I
off. I
rather
was
not
like, no,
know.
I'd rather not know.
I rather not know.
So I was just there, no job. You see your friends, buying trainers. That age, you're 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Everyone's
just
got
wanna, you
mad
just
Air
yeah,
Forces,
Air Maxes.
Air
Everyone just wanna,
Maxes. You're walking
yeah,
around with your
just wanna go.
Primark trainers, cause that's all
I
you can
know.
afford.
Yeah, that's what that's what,
You
like,
just you just have
they
to
can
humble
we could.
yourself, live
I
by your
know, like,
means.
people even invite me to go out. Oh, let's go out. It's that person's birthday. I was
Shrooms.
like,
Let's go to the
I'll just
shrooms.
make excuses. Like, I'll just make excuses. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't go. Or no, I've got this the next day. I'll be so tired. And it
Mm.
gets to a point where friends don't really even like. Oh, Army. Whenever we invite you for stuff, you always have things that you're doing. So, but they don't know that there's all this stuff like going on. Trying to just survive the day, every single, day by day, waiting for my home office papers, because I had so many opportunities to do amazing things, but
Yeah.
I couldn't take those opportunities. I couldn't take the opportunity because I had no papers.
Yeah.
And at one point in my life, the home office sent me a letter saying, oh, I'm liable to be detained. I was like, what?
Eh?
For what reason? Yeah.
What?
I was like, what? So I had to like run to the local authority, found my PA. Like I said, what's this letter about? And they're like, oh my god, like they're not even sure. And they said, okay, you know what? We'll come with you. So my PA went with me, and we went there on the day. And I said to the guy, oh, why am I here? Like, I don't know why I'm receiving this letter. And he goes, oh, it's just from your caseworker. So I signed. So literally, they just say to me every 2 weeks, you need to come here and sign. Every two. I was like, oh my god, like every 2 weeks I had to come here. And they were
It's
like, yeah.
almost like your life. It's almost like you're trapped. This is like a chain.
I'm telling you, like you have,
your neck.
yeah. So during all these times where I'm signing up at the job center, and they're like, oh, you need to work this. So I had to, you know how at the job center people always say they're very rude.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had to fight my corner to help my job coach understand that I'm not just that young person that you look like. You guys think every young person is under. Yeah, I'm a different kid.
Cut from a
I
different
said,
cloth.
yeah. I said, look, I've done all I need to do, but I cannot walk. I have no passport. Then my job coach was like, oh, okay, now we understand. So they stopped bothering me. And I remember one time they're like, oh, there's this job fair thing that's happening. Just go there, even though you won't get a job. And I always have that paper from the Home Office that says, oh, you should be able to get a job because your application is still on process.
Wow.
So I went to this place. On that day, I didn't want to go, but something was like, oh, just go. So I went there. There's about, I would say, maybe 15 people that came down. And it's literally a customer service job. I think it's IKEA that are they're doing like a job fair. So everyone have to stood up, like present yourself for 2 minutes and talk about what you've done and why you think you could be a good customer service person.
Did you have experience?
What experience? Zero experience. All I've got on my CV was just volunteering.
Mad.
And I stood up. I was like 19, and I was like, "Hi everyone, my name is Ahmed. I've volunteered with these people. I've done this for children in
What was
care."
your English like at this point?
Better than when I came. At this point, I was able to communicate because very much I came at 14 and now I'm 19. So yeah, I was able to communicate good. I'm good. So this time around, I'm walking around feeling confident. I can speak to anyone. Yeah, and I've passed my GCSEs. So at the end of it, they only picked out of 15. I think they only picked about 7 or 8 people, and I'm one of those people that were selected. I was like, what? So when I did my presentation, and the people were just clapping, and this guy just came into the room, and he's like, oh, why's everyone clapping for this young man? He's like the youngest in this room. And the lady was like, oh, he done well. So he goes to me, he sat next to me, and he goes, oh, can I see your CV? And I gave it to him, and he was like, oh, I think I have something for you. I was like, oh, please. In my head, like, it was just negative. I'm like, please don't come with me. You don't know what I've been through. Don't come with this. And I was like, oh, please. I was like, oh, whatever. That age as well. You're just trying to shut people up, like, oh yeah, whatever. Then the lady was like, oh, young man, I really like the way you stood up. You're very confident. Talk about all the volunteering work that you've done. And that's why, I actually want you to work for us.
People underestimate volunteering work,
Yeah, this is why I emphasize on volunteering so much. Like with all the young people that I'm working with now, I say to them, volunteer. Never said I have nothing to do. There's always something out there to do. It really helps.
Do you know
because
what it is? I feel like, sorry to cut you, I feel like the generation we're living in, we're so money focused.
That's the issue.
So money focused. But then again, you can't blame the young. We can't really blame that because you go on social media, everyone is wearing Balenciaga
designers. Like, there you go.
You're not even gonna think. You know what? Let me go and volunteer, because when you volunteer, it's not just the work experience; it's the lives that you impact.
Yeah,
and it's like you're doing good. Now people look at charity and they think, oh, let me give my 2 little pence and that's my good done for the day.
That's like, nah. There's so much you can do. There's so much, and to be honest, like alongside all the volunteering work that I was doing, I managed to build a network that I'm benefiting from today. You wouldn't believe this. All the volunteering work, because I kept like a good rapport with them. I make sure if I
Never
finish my
burning
volunteer,
bridges. Never
yeah,
burn bridges.
like we always have that good communication with us. So this guy then said to me, he said to the lady, "Oh, I don't think this boy wants to do customer service. Like I don't think this young boy like would want to do customer service." Then she was like, "Oh, no, no, no. He came here for this job. I really like him." And the people in there were like, "Oh, why not just see what this guy has for him?" And they were like, "Okay, cool." But bear in mind, I've already given up at this time. Like I just go
Hope was
places for the
gone.
sake of, yeah. I just go there for the sake of it. And I went down to his office, and he goes, "Oh, you know, you sound like a very calm person. I have this opportunity. It's an apprenticeship role." And then he said, "There's employment advisor, there's recruitment resourcer. I can't remember the third one." And I said, "All the things that you're saying are new to me. I've never worked in an office, and I don't think I can work in an office." and he goes, to me, what for? He's like, "Young man, like, just wait. Do you know what apprenticeship is?" I said, "No." He said, "Okay, you will learn a job, and you get paid at the same time." And in my head, I would get paid. And I said, "Look, I can't work. I have no papers." He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Did you study here?" I was like, "Yes." He goes, "Do you have a national insurance number?" I was like, "Yes." So he goes, "What do you mean you can't work?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Look, I've been waiting. I've applied for home office." So I just briefed him on the home office stuff. But then I said, "But I have this paper that the home office has said
This one paper
you can
was
use."
like
Yeah, I have that
innit?
paper. That paper is like, I take that paper. Because I have no any idea. So if anything was to happen to me, that's my proof that, look, I'm legal here. I'm still kind of legal in this country. Don't just take me. So that paper is always in my pocket.
Question: Did you make different copies of that paper?
Yes, I had about 5, 6 copies. I had so many copies. Like I can't risk losing the paper. Because there was a day I was out. I think it was raining as well. So that one was gone. And like, thank God I had another one. So I showed the guy. He happens to be the director of the company actually. So he read it through, and he's like, "Wait, but the home office said your application is still in process." I was like, "Yeah, but I've tried to get a job, but I just couldn't get a job." Then he goes, "Okay, maybe we can help you." I thought this guy was just talking. So I said to him, "You know what? Yeah, I will think about it." He said, "Yeah, think about it." He emailed me. A week later, I didn't even respond to him. His name was John, because I was like, "There's no point." And he called me, and he goes, "Oh, Ahmed, I haven't heard back from you." And I said, "Yeah." So he goes, "Just come in, let's talk." So I went to see him, and I said to him, "Look, this is what I've been through, and I've just given up." And he goes, "Look, we can help you with the paper that you have." Yeah, I don't want to be disappointed anymore. I don't want to go back home, and you know how many times I've been by myself and just cry. So many times. And I said, I don't want to be doing that anymore. And he goes, "No, no, no, we'll see what we can do because we help people from different countries. We've come across people like yourself, and they managed to work, so it should be fine." I was like, "Is this guy serious?" Then he goes, "Do you have your maths and English?" And I was like, "Yes." So he said, "Okay, if you were to do this apprenticeship, you would need to go college once. So you would do BTech level 3 in business admin. And bear in mind, I've already done BTech level 3 in sports science." And I was like, "This is good." So I spoke to my PA. He's like, "Yeah, try. If they can take you, just do it." And before you know, started this apprenticeship. I was like, okay. It looks like I'm gonna be busy again. I'm moving again. But I had to say to this guy, "Look, I'm still waiting for my home office papers." He goes, "No, don't worry, you're fine." So I did that apprenticeship. I started doing the apprenticeship, but then I still have to keep waiting, still going back and forth with the home office. The apprenticeship was for a year. And this was where I learned so much skills.
Amazing.
And all the volunteering that I was doing kind of like come into place, because I was like, I've never worked in an office, and I had to now help people create a CV, help them with interviews. And this was, when I'm saying people, I mean adults, because it's not, like grown up people. I've sat down with with grown-ups in their 50s. I'm 19 and I'm talking to them, and they were like, the moment they sat down with me, they're like, oh, you're probably my child's age or my grandchild's age. And they would be like, oh, they wish they've done the right things when they were young. And they would say to me, young man, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. So it's like, I'm trying to help you, but you're advising me at the same time.
That's therapy. Would you say that was a form of therapy for you?
Very, very form of therapy. Very, because some of the people that I've met, I managed to like talk through things as well. That makes me feel good. And I became someone that now conduct, a workshop at the age of, 20, 19, 20. I'm conducting a workshop to like 10, 15 people, adults as well, not young people. And if you were to say to me when I was 17 or 16, you'll be at this age, you'll be doing this, I'll be like, no chance, because I don't even think I have those skills to do this type of stuff. So I was meeting employers, getting jobs. I'm helping local residents in Tottenham, so many like youths like into jobs. So I did the apprenticeship for a year, and the company were so happy. It's called North London Partnership Consortium, NLPC, in Northumberland Park. Then they're like, oh, you done well. I did well with the BTEC side, with the college side as well. And they said, oh, we want to employ you for a year to run a program. I was like, you employ me? No passport, They're like, no, don't worry, you're good.
You just have to remind them, I've only got the paper,
Yeah, I've only got this paper, like, no passport. And yeah, you're good. So I started doing another project, helping single moms as well with their universal credit. Then they started introducing universal credit. Amazing. So I was gaining all these experiences, meeting, building my networks, interacting with different people, going to places that I've never thought I would be. And I had a very good mentor from Tottenham as well. They take me places. They helped me achieve so many different qualifications, like FA level 1, child protection. They did my DBS, conflict resolution level 1 and 2, mentoring. So I remember when I was going through all this training, I said to my mentor, Richard Alicock, I said, you need to stop bothering me with all this stuff, because I don't know if I'm going to need it. I don't think I'll ever need it. He said, Ahmed, you never know when you will need something. Just do it. And this guy would come to my house, drag me out, like, Ahmed, you need to do this. And all this time, whilst I was doing my apprenticeship, I didn't tell them that every 2 weeks I had to go to London Bridge. The Home Office have this office in London Bridge in Beckett House. It's called Beckett House. So I had to go there. I had to go to London Bridge, and I start work at 9:30. So I had to leave my house at 6 a.m. to get to London Bridge, just so I could be in the queue, in the front queue, to sign in with the Home Office and dash out, like run literally to the train station and try to get to work for 9:30.
Depended on it.
Yeah, try to get to work for 9:30, because I was like, if I was to tell them that I'm signing on, they might stop my job, and they might be like, oh, what's going on? So every 2 weeks, I'm always late to work, and I would just say, oh, I had to talk to this employer because it's part of my job, trying to get jobs for people. And I did that for like 2 years.
Wow.
For like 2 years going back, I couldn't travel. There's nothing. But at the same time, it's almost like, okay, life is still good, because now you're making a bit of money, you're fine. So there was a time I was so close to like getting deported back to my country.
Wow.
I went for the same process to sign on, and they're like, oh, sorry, you need to wait behind. I was like, okay. And they're like, oh, you need to come into this room. I was like, okay. And they're like, oh, you need to put your phone here, belt, put it down. They locked everything. I was like, okay. And I was scared.
Did you think of running?
Yeah, you can't even run. There's nowhere that you can't run. So literally, you walked into the office, you queue up, you go around, sign, and if they said to you, oh, you need to see us behind, so you have to go through another door, and once you go into that door, no one knows what's happening, and they're like, you need to put your phone down, take out your belt if you have one, keys, empty your pocket. And I was like, this is not the normal routine. So I was sitting down for like half an hour. Then a lady came up to me. This is when I said, if you believe, whatever you believe in, just stick to it. If you're someone that believe in God, just have, whatever you believe, if you have faith, just stick to, just believe that thing will always work for you.
Yeah.
So I was in this place, And this lady came and she spoke to me. She was like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Ahmed." I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Okay, we need to go through this paperwork with you." And she started asking me questions about how you got here. Do you have siblings back in Nigeria? Do you have your mom? I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know where they are. I'm trying to trace them." And she mentioned a question that said, "How did you get arrested?" I was like,
Eh?
"What? Arrested?"
I was never
I was like,
arrested, mate.
"I was never being arrested." She was like, "What do you mean?"
Oh, that time you slept at the police station.
It's not even that, because apparently whoever goes, almost all the people that goes to sign on are those that have never had any residency in the country.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to be signing on before your case get processed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't arrested. I was at home and I saw this letter saying I need to be coming here from the age of like 17 to be 18. I mean, to be
Oh,
signing
did they
on.
get the wrong Mr. Mohammed?
No, they didn't. It's just how this is how negligent the Home Office are when it comes to dealing with people's cases. That's
Oh.
that's even another topic on its own, because this is like 3 years into me waiting. So I reapplied in 2012. Then in 2014, I was going through this process of trying to still get my papers. Then the lady was like, "Oh my God, like, so what happened?" And I briefed her on my story, and she goes, "Do you have a solicitor?" I was like, "Yes." And she goes, "No, if your solicitor is really good, the Home Office should grant you your papers." And she said, "Okay, you need to sign this document now." And I was like, then she said, "Do you want to sign it, or you want your solicitor to have a look?" And in my head, God just said, "Tell them you want your solicitor to have a look." And I said, "Oh, I want my solicitor to have a look." Guess what she said to me? She goes, "You've done the right thing."
Wow.
So I was like, "Okay." But still, that didn't really like sink in. I didn't really deep that. She said, "You've done the right thing." So as soon as I came out, I rang my solicitor straight away. I said, "Oh, this is what happened.
Yeah.
They asked me questions. They wanted me to sign this paper." And I said, "No, I'm not going to sign it because I want you to have a look." Then she goes, "Ahmed, this is one of the best thing you will ever do for yourself in your life." I was like, "Why?" She goes, "That document is called ETC, which means Emergency Travel Certificate. Once you've signed it, you're getting deported." Yeah. She said,
Jesse.
"Once you've signed it, you're getting deported back to your country." She goes, "I'm really proud of you, because if once you've signed it, it will be very difficult for anyone to get you out. Not even your solicitor, because you've already signed a document to say, 'Oh yeah, I'm ready. I want to go back home.'"
Isn't it funny how the woman didn't really? Well, I'm assuming she was a woman, but the officer, isn't it funny how they never really explained to you what the paper was? It's almost like a
Exactly.
gamble.
That's what I'm saying. Like, imagine how many people are going through that process and getting deported.
Yeah.
Because on that very day, something just touched that woman to say to me, "Oh, this is not usually my role, but I've been asked to do this. But come on, young man, you're so young and you've studied here and you don't look like someone that caused any trouble." Then she goes, and she even said to me, "No, you should be able to stay in this country." And I was like, that woman helped me on that day.
Oh God.
And that was the only time I've seen her. And that was the last time, I've never come across her again.
Yeah, God sends like people in our
Yeah,
lives.
if not, we wouldn't have been having this conversation today. God knows what part of Africa they would have thrown me back to. I'm telling you. So
Wow.
since then, whenever I'm going to sign on again, I will say to my solicitor, "Look, I'm going in today. If you didn't hear from me in an hour, just make a call." But I went through that journey for 4 years.
Wow.
4 years of my life, you know, waiting for papers to come, trying all what I could do. And even that process, like, I gave up.
So you know what
And,
the big question is? You got the papers now, yeah?
oh, come on.
You're done
Find
now.
those papers. I've got my stuff. In 2016, I, it's amazing how I'm battling all of this stuff, then I'm still trying to help people. So I helped this guy called Kevin Favio, that used to be head of interim officer at the local authority, to develop a project called what is it called? It's a project to help young people achieve, like, build their confidence.
Yeah.
So build their confidence, collaboration skills, communication skills. So we developed that project. and we went into schools to actually do the project with young people,
Yeah.
and they really liked it. So we delivered those projects for like year sevens, transition into year eight in Portishead, the school in Portishead and Bournemouth.
Mm.
And we get funding for it. And he said, "Look, Ahmed, you've been through so much. I'm just gonna give you all the money because you're not really doing much at the moment." So I was like, "Okay," gave me the money. And during this time, due to my volunteering, so I was an ambassador for this organization in Southwark.
Yeah.
And we finished that project encouraging children in care to take education seriously and pursue their dreams. And the manager there, contacted GLA saying, "Look, I have this young man that you guys would probably benefit from." And GLA contacted me saying, "Can you send your CV?" I sent my CV to them, and I had an interview, and we're like, "Yeah, you've got the job."
Amazing.
That's how it is, just like that.
Just
it's
like
not something,
that.
yeah, just like that. They said, "You've got the job." I was like, wow, it's really good to volunteer and build a network. And I did that project again, and we went to then Exeter University. The guy has, good networks as well, presented it to Exeter University, and they said, "Okay, can you guys come in?" So I was meant to go in. I went in for like 3 days. So just to talk to like law students. It was their first year. I spoke to over 300 young people in an assembly.
Wow.
And we're meant to do like different workshops. So I was in Exeter, and on that very day, I was meant to go to the Home Office and sign again.
Wow.
But I was like, I'm not going. I've given up. Whatever's going to happen should happen.
Yeah,
It's been
you're like,
4
I'm
years.
done.
I remember contacting my local MP, David Lammy. Big up David Lammy. He actually played a role as well. And my solicitor rang me on the day in 2016, in September 2016.
Wow.
And she said, "Oh, where are you?" I said, "I'm in Exeter." She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just here to, do some workshops with some graduates." And she was like, "Okay, are you standing or are you
Are
sitting?"
you sitting down?
"Oh, are you sitting down?" I was like, I'm standing. And
That's
she
when
goes,
you know they're about
you
to
might
tell
want to
you
take a
something
seat. Yeah. So when she said that, I was like, oh, what is she going to say? Is it something bad? When you've given up, you're like, you're not even expecting
You just think
something
everything
good
is
to come.
disappointing.
Yeah. And she goes, "You've been granted." And I was like, what?
What?
The way, have you ever screamed and you just like, it's like your voice is just hooked, like, wait, am I dreaming?
Am I dreaming? Is this real? Is this happening? The people
Then
around you are
Kevin,
looking at you like you're
people,
crazy.
and I was in
because
a
they don't
classroom.
understand.
I was in a, we're doing this workshop, and Kevin, I always call him my white dad. This guy is an OG. He supported me all the way. He knows my journey. He knows my story. He's always been there for me. And I was with Kevin on that day in Exeter, and he looks at me. He's like, "What's going on?" And I just jumped. I hugged this guy. I was just crying. It's like, I've got my papers. I was just, very emotional day, and we had to explain to the to the class, because briefly in the assembly I kind of touched upon it. And they're like, "Oh my god!" So everyone was just happy. Then he goes, "No, Ahmed, no more workshop. Just go, just chill, just have fun." I was just so happy on that day. And it's like having my papers just gave me opportunities to just do what I couldn't do before and just explore. And after my apprenticeship, after 1 year doing another project, I don't even have a job. Then I went back to Tottenham to see Kevin, because he left Haringey. He became a consultant for Tottenham Hotspur, and I've already built that network there. And one day I just walked in, and the director of Tottenham Hotspur Foundation said, "Oh, Ahmed, what have you been up to now? You don't want to work for us?" And I said, "Well, you guys didn't offer me a job."
Exactly.
Then she goes, "Come on. What do you mean? Before you're still working?" I said, "No, I haven't been working for like 6 weeks now. I just finished a project." And she goes, "You know what? We have a job for you."
Amazing.
And that was how I became an employment advisor at Tottenham Hotspur. And they said, "Oh, you start on a part-time role, then we'll see how we can move you to that full-time." And within 2 to 3 weeks, they moved me into full-time straight away. And this is why I always say to people, like, build a network, know how to network with people and have that good relationship. It's good to have your qualification and grades, but then it's the relationship that you build with people that will take you to the next level. it's about who you know. It's, don't just rely on, I'm good at this, I can do this by myself. No, like no one ever did it by themselves. Like,
No one.
I all the skills that I have today, it was people that were able to pull those skills, out of me. And alongside working for Tottenham, I'm doing so many other projects in my community and outside my community as well. And I realize there's a gap with the way young people have been treated, especially if you're a care leaver.
Yeah.
Then I started to like, I have this idea of, I wanted to do a project. I wanted to do this. And I started speaking to people, and they said to me, before maybe you register your organization, perhaps volunteer with people that they do something similar to you and see how they run their project. And I was volunteering with, Phoenix Community, another project in Haringey, and looking at what we do at Tottenham as well. And I said, I'm going to register my organization out of frustration. I was like, no, some things needs to be changed. And sometimes your hands are tight if you're working for people, but if you're doing it, if you're working for yourself, you can, do the right thing. What needs to be done legally.
100%.
But without anyone telling you what needs to be done. So I was like, what name should I name my organization? And I came up with You versus You. And people have always asked me, why You versus You? It's very catchy, it's nice, but why? And I said, because regardless of how much people are there to support you, you need to have something within you that really wants to help yourself.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, that's true, but how? They still want to know. And I said, when I was in care, going through my challenges, if I wasn't willing to help myself, I would have ended up in jail or or God knows wherever I will be.
Amazing.
And I said there are people that have the same type of network, the same situation, but they didn't utilize the system. So as bad as people talk about the system, in some way or many ways, it has benefited me because I took my time to know what the system is about, which is the local authority, being a young person in care. Because I realized if you're a young person in care and they try to help you, the moment you said you're a young person in care to an organization, they want to you'll be prioritized.
Yeah, 100%.
You'll be a priority. It's even when if you wanted to start school, they attend to your needs very quick. And straight away I was like, wait, there must be some benefits in this thing. Why are people so negative about it? And the more I grow, the older I get, the more confidence I get, and I start to talk about this stuff. I start to go into schools, events. I do a talk. I talk about, I do inspirational talks.
Yeah.
And I registered You versus You. Initially, I was looking at, just helping young people in general. Started doing small projects here and there, collaborative project, getting funding while still working for Tottenham. Then I was like, actually, there are so many refugees and asylum seekers in this country, which some of them are even care leavers because some of them have their papers, but they don't have that person to kind of direct them, or no one actually understands their needs. So I started to change my direction of focus to refugees and asylum seekers. So I met with Phoenix Community that helped me when I was, I used to be in one of their shared accommodation when I moved into semi-independent. And they said, you know what, you will be a great example from where you've come from. We know you and we think you'll be very good to kind of do some project for us.
Yeah.
What ideas do you have? How can we, better our services? And we just started talking. And I remember the first event that I did, they invited some young people, and I spoke to these people. And when I said, I'm just like them, I'm a refugee, asylum seeker, and they're like, what? And you have your business, you have your organization? I was like, yeah. And they said, you still do? I was like, yeah. Then straight away, someone from them were like, no, I want to be like you.
Amazing. I
said, yeah. I'm telling you, from that day, the company was like, and they've been running for 20 years. They said, Ahmed, you are the man for this project. And I've always been that person where whatever I want to do, I always speak to people that I trust, to say, oh, this is something I want to do. What do you think? And I remember speaking to I have different mentors. I'm telling you, I have business coach, I have mentors that are still supporting me. I still speak to my social workers, my PAs, just to get advice. And I spoke to one of my mentors, and she was like, her name is Yvonne Field, and she said, you know what, maybe focus your stuff on refugees and asylum seekers because there is no much that's been done. They're kind of isolated.
Yeah.
And I remember applying for my first funding, and I got it. And I was like, what? Okay. So they just registered my business, registered, a bank account for it. And I started doing projects for refugees and asylum seekers, helping them to, integrate within the community. The ones that have their papers, I try to give them more support in terms of how they can access, college, education, get a job, build their CVs. And the ones without their papers, I still help them to go into like ESOL classes, build their English level, do functional skills, if there's criteria for them to do it, and also get them a volunteer in places because they're always bored at home.
Yeah.
So because these are things that helped me, and I also give them advice on what they should do to help with their home office papers. Because I remember when the home office said to me, "Oh, you need to bring proof that you've been in this country for all this time. You've never been in jail. What have you been doing with your time? And do you have a social? Do you still visit your foster care?" So I have to gather evidence and collect reference from all the people that I've volunteered for. And I was so lucky and happy that they were able to give me very good character reference and using pictures. So these are the things that I presented to the Home Office before they even grant me my stay.
Yeah.
And I use all this experience, I pass it on to all these young people. I help them develop themselves, and to a stage where there's a young person that has his papers, and we have this Erasmus funding to help, volunteers and professionals travel abroad for training. And I said to this young man, "Oh, would you like to travel to Greece to do a training on building resilience?" And he goes, "I've never traveled by plane. So what are you talking about?" He goes, he came to this country by boat.
Wow.
And he said, "He can't travel." And I said, "But you have your refugee status, you have your, you have your passport." He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, let's see what we could do." So I put him forward for that project because we had the funding. So I put two people forward. I put his support worker forward for it and him. So they applied, they got it. And this person sent me, wrote a quote saying, "The sea that he crossed by boat, today he's crossing by air, thanks to Ahmed." And that really moved me. That broke my heart. And when he came back from Greece, he brought me like this, it's like a watch. It's not really, it's just a wristband. And he said, "No, Ahmed, like, this is just me showing that I really appreciate what you're doing." And he wished that every young person would know what I'm doing, or every young person would be able to learn from me. He said, "You're doing an amazing job, and the whole country needs to know what you're doing." I was like, "Look, I can only do what I need to do. Yeah. And I want you to, even do a better job and just help people when you can." So this is through all this journey that I've been through. I'm now, like I said, CEO, founder of You versus You, just helping refugees, asylum seekers, care leavers, and young people, build their confidence, self-esteem, and, help them, to get on the platform that they wanted to get into.
You know what? I feel like this is the perfect place for us to stop, because obviously we've heard the rough. Yeah, we've heard the rough, and we've heard, what you've been through and stuff, but there's also the success. So we're going to do our live on Friday, 1st of May. It's my birthday, yo. So, so we're going to be the first person to wish you happy birthday. That's it. So we're going to do a live on Friday, and that's going to be like the continuation. But our live chat is going to be about from this point. So from this point, how your success journey really began. Yeah.
Okay.
And just before we finish, I noticed on your profile, on your personal profile on Instagram, you wrote, "Those who put their trust in God will never be disappointed." Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And just through hearing your story, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, you had to have some kind of trust in the Lord. You had to have some kind of trust in God. You had to have the faith. And you know what? Like, at this moment, I just wanna big up to any Muslim right now that's fasting, especially during this.
It's Ramadan.
It's Ramadan right now. My dad's Muslim, so he's fasting too. So do you know what I mean? And really just put your trust in God, and really have faith. Really have faith. And everyone believes in everyone believes in different things, but whatever it is that you believe in, the more you put your trust in that,
definitely,
like the more you're gonna come through a